Hello, everybody. A brand new NBA season is nearly upon us, and we are here today on the Board YouTube channel to get you ready for this season. We're going to start off with some questions and some discussion pieces. We get ready for a new season where there is so much up in the air. And then also, we will be discussing some futures bets that we do have for you guys. And we have a number of guests that will be joining us. And in just a second here, we'll have Prop Bomb joining us, but we have multiple guests lined up for today's stream. Prop Bomb will be the first guest, and then we are going to be going to Kirk Evans Zero from Twitter, and then we're going as well to Props from Prime. So 3 guests on the horizon for today, and I'm very excited to do that. But Pips, first words heading into the new season. I'm sure you're excited.
Yeah, can't wait to start. This will potentially be one of the best seasons and most competitive seasons we ever seen. Yeah, the props already out on FanDuel, and yeah, it's getting started after 4 months of break, and I just can't wait to go back in and just yeah, it will be great.
We have a loaded schedule on the board coming up. We'll talk through our schedule and the final futures bets at the end of the stream, so make sure you guys stick around. But while you're here, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the Board YouTube channel to keep up to date with all the content that we have. It's going to be pick and roll 5 days a week, plus some extra content we're going to reveal a little bit later on. But now we're going to bring in our first guest of the day to talk through some of the biggest NBA stories, and that is at Prop Bomb on Twitter. Thank you so much for joining us on the Board YouTube channel today. How are you feeling ahead of the new season?
I'm feeling great. I messaged Pips the other night at like 3 a.m. that the props are finally available. Pips said it best, man. Like, this is going to be one of the most competitive seasons. Last night, LeBron James and Kevin Durant faced off for like the first time in 6 years. So the league is finally getting together again, and I'm so excited, especially just for the whole journey.
Yeah, me as well. And the biggest stories that we're going to be going through with you, first of all, the biggest story that we just have to talk about, as Pips messaged me yesterday, is the Damian Lillard situation. Damian Lillard in Milwaukee. And we'll throw over to you, first of all, with this one. What do you think about Dame's fit in Milwaukee, excuse me? And does this make them the legitimate favorites to win the championship?
Yeah. Just to preface a little bit, Pips knows this. I'm like a really big Miami Heat fan. So
Oh
when
boy,
Lillard didn't,
I wasn't aware.
no, it's all good. When Lillard didn't come to the Heat, I was like so salty. But like, I mean, I said this about like a year ago. The Lillard and Giannis pairing is honestly a dream. And it's such a perfect duo. I think it's going to be electric for the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, you trap Damian Lillard, then you got Giannis, like a Draymond 4-3 going to the basket. Then you trap Giannis, you got Chris Middleton waiting for you. You got Malik Beasley, sharp shooting. I think it's a really great fit for the Milwaukee Bucks here.
Pips, your thoughts on this one? We haven't really talked about it much, but how do you feel about the Damian Lillard fit with Giannis and everyone else in Milwaukee?
Yeah, I mean that's one of the best possible. That's the best possible fit in the entire NBA. Like if you combine Damian Lillard shooting and pick and roll game with Giannis dream pressure, yeah, that will be very difficult to stop, especially when Giannis drop down at 5 and they start pick and roll together. Like Dame even in the preseason said, like this is the most space I ever had. Like I am open. Like what's happening? This never happened in when he was the Trailblazers. And also, I think the Bucks struggled a bit over the last couple of seasons in the playoffs when it's the last possession of the game. Usually, Giannis can shoot, and it is always difficult to be the guy late into the games. And having Damian Lillard there, Dame time, yeah, it will be great. And I think Bucks got a much better with this trade.
Yeah, I think this makes them the favorites, like maybe like very, very marginally here, but the spacing that Dame is also going to provide. I mean, as much as Dame is getting that additional space, the spacing Dame is going to provide to Giannis as well. I think this is a dream pairing, specifically for Giannis with the added space on the inside. It's not going to be as easy to clog the paint. And it's almost like, okay, well, if you don't clog the paint, Giannis is going to get there easily. If you do, well, then Damian Lillard is going to have a bit of extra space, and it's not like the rest of the cast around them are slouches of players either. They have an excellent group of players here, and they're absolutely gunning for a championship. It's amazing what player power can do. Giannis says he wants a better team. Well, how about Damian Lillard?
Yeah,
We're all set
they're
for that.
definitely treating Giannis right, the Milwaukee Bucks front office. And Jacob, just to interrupt you just for a second, you said it best. Like how Miami Heat defeated the Milwaukee Bucks in the playoffs is like, especially in Game 5, they just packed the paint. Like they let Giannis try to beat them, and he couldn't. Like he couldn't make the free throws in the end. Like he had the back problems. But when you add a guy that's as dynamic as Damian Lillard out there, it's not going to be it's not going to be a thing anymore that you can't allow. So it's just there's so many pressure points that the Milwaukee Bucks have to defeat you with.
Yeah, I completely agree over there. Let's go over to a situation now that is not as ideal as it is in Milwaukee and the Philadelphia 76ers. We'll go over to Pips first of all on this one because he is a big James Harden fan. The Harden situation has been problematic, to say the least. In the last week, we thought that, okay, he's just going to show play. Now he's no longer reporting to practice. What is the best way for Philadelphia to handle this situation? And what do you ultimately think will be the outcome for James Harden?
So for me, I think like he's getting moved. When you go publicly and say the stuff he said, I think that's done. So they just need to figure out what's the best way to get some value for him. Same old story, James Harden has happened over the last few years. Yeah, but I'm not strongly against what he did. I mean, it's kind of pathetic that he took a pay cut and they promised him some stuff. Yeah. I mean, if you work at your job and your boss said like take a pay cut, he'll give you like a raise or a long-term contract next year, you'll be pissed off too, and you will lose the trust. And I don't think anyone can play for someone that they don't trust. Especially, James Harden, as problematic as he is, especially as of late. So, I think they'll move him because I don't think he'll ever shoot up for the 76ers again. They'll need to look for players that can have immediate impact because they are at win now mode with Embiid and Maxi and Tobias. So, I think they'll need to not plenty of picks, and even if they get picks, they'll try to use those picks to get some great players later into the season. So I think that's just we're going to just have to wait to see where he goes. We'll
go over to Prop Bomb now. What would be your expectation as far as the valuation the Sixers could still receive for James Harden at this point?
Yeah, I mean, James Harden is just doing like a lot of damage right now. Just, I guess, like to his reputation and all. I think honestly, it's going to come down to. My vision is that he's probably just going to be traded to the Clippers at the end of all of this. But I don't think he has too much like leverage right now, in my opinion. But I'm interested though to see like who steps up for the 76ers, because I don't think that Harden would play the first game of the season if he's still on the team. Other than that, it's interesting to see all of this develop personally.
Yeah, so, I find it weird that the hang up with the Clippers right now seems to be Terrence Mann. A 27-year-old role player is the untouchable piece that can't get you James Harden.
I went to college with him too. Like he was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I don't mean to put him down, but this like the Clippers are holding a 27-year-old role player as the untouchable piece when James Harden is available. I get the baggage associated with James Harden, but
that's what it is probably. But I guess like on the Clippers like standpoint, I mean Terrence Mann is like the perfect type of like glue player for a team. He plays his role the best way. He's an excellent rebounder. He's great. Like he doesn't need to have usage like to do well. He can feed off of the other all-stars that are around him. So I guess it makes sense. Like he's a great team player, but for him to be the piece why the James Harden trade is not going to be a thing is a little bit an overreaction.
Yeah, I don't know what ultimately could go down here. I just think that like the latest report I saw was that the Sixers wanted 2 firsts. I think they'll be lucky to get 1 at this point. It might just be the case of like whatever you can get, just try to unload him. So that makes this situation extraordinarily complicated.
Yeah, definitely too.
And last thing we wanted to discuss with you, Prop, on while we have you here, is you wanted to go over the best league pass teams in the NBA this season, the top 3. So why don't we all go through our favorite? That will be our top 3, but we'll go over to you first of all. What is your top pick? And maybe even you can put in an extra one as well on the side if you feel really strongly, but your favorite picks to watch on League Pass this season, not including your favorite teams, of course.
Yeah, we already talked about it earlier. Milwaukee Bucks are definitely going to be must-watch television. And then just to be quick, yeah, my second favorite team is probably just me being like a dynasty like basketball player in general. I love just watching teams develop. Is the Oklahoma City Thunder is definitely going to be a team that I'm going to be looking forward to watching every night.
And Pips, go over to you. Anybody in particular you're looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I love watching most of the teams, especially the young ones and up and coming teams.
Yeah.
Besides my Houston Rockets, who will be very interesting this season, I'll say for sure it's Spurs and it's Devin Vassell and Victor Wembanyama and Orlando Magic and Oklahoma City Tigers, of course. But I want to see Orlando Magic this season. They look very interesting and they could sneak out in playing spot.
I'm going to go with a little bit more of a sleeper. I think it's like a lot of people's sleeper pick, but the Indiana Pacers have the opportunity to be
definitely
a very fun team this season. Tyrese Halliburton just makes that team so much fun to watch. A bit more stability now as well for the team and understanding what they want to be as a team. A bit more security with Miles Turner now. So it's not like there's a team here where it's guys that could get picked off the trade deadline. This is a team that wants to be successful this season. Obviously, the Buddy Hield situation could kind of play into things in the uncertainty, but overall a bit more direction now and a fun team. So I think this one will be exciting. But Problem, thank you so much for joining us, helping us preview the season. Any final words as we get ready for the 2023-2024 NBA season?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun. Just invite me anytime for the show and I'll be on. I love talking basketball just in general. And let's have a great season, everyone. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much. You guys can follow Prop Bomb at Prop Bomb on Twitter, and it's easy to follow that, short and sweet. If you're listening in audio as well, we will have it linked in the description, of course. But thank you again. We'll turn it over now to our second guest that we have coming on here. We'll be talking a little bit more of previews, and we're also going to be going through some futures bets now, and then we'll have Props from Prime coming out a little bit later on. But before we get there, we will now go to Kirk Evans joining us, his debut on the Board YouTube channel. How are you doing today, and how are you feeling ahead of the new NBA season?
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm feeling good, excited for the season. Already been a pretty crazy preseason, and I'm just excited to get going.
And we have from you wanted to talk about the biggest questions heading into the new NBA season. So we'll go over to you first of all. Myself and Pips will also have our biggest questions, but you can lead us off here. What is the biggest question that you have as we get ready for the next season?
So my biggest question going into this season is, I phrased it as, what is Josh Giddey as an NBA player?
Okay.
Could rephrase as, is Josh Giddey a good NBA player? 2 years in the league, he's not really being a positive value player. He has a lot of really good skills. He's an amazing passer. He struggled as a defender. He can't shoot. His efficiency's been really bad. And he hasn't played well with Shea, and I don't think he's a good pairing with Shea in particular. And he's a third-year player, extension eligible this summer, probably expecting a huge contract. So this is a huge year for him. They're pretty clearly the best up-and-coming team in the league. So I think he's a huge question mark.
I think you and Pips will kind of get along on this one. Pips, you want to elaborate? You haven't usually been a big fan of Josh Giddey, so you kind of agree on these sentiments, but what do you think Josh Giddey is as a player?
Yeah, I mean, like, my questions always with him were the same. Was like he said, efficiency, defense, and like just playing next to Shea. So far, not been good. He had shown some flashes, a great season coming in the FIBA World Cup. Decent preseason so far. So I think this is his breakout season. I mean, like, I was always tough on him, but he's just turned 21. So like he still gets a lot of time to develop. I don't think he'll be a good shooter. Like, his form is like not looking good, and I don't think it's improving. But he can improve on defensive end and just fit better with Shea and now Chet. So with Holmgren playing there, his shooting will be less of a problem. So I'll just be interested to see like if he improves a bit on defense and a bit more efficient, with better efficiency. Yeah, I can see him being useful player. But yeah, there are massive questions about him.
Yeah, I think the Thunder are in a position right now financially where they can kind of afford to give him the contract that he wants. I think he will be looking for a rookie max, and then they still have a bit of flexibility to move that down the line if they see fit. But I think that his future still will be with OKC for the time being. But we'll go over to Pips. Your big question heading into the season. We'll ask Wei, what is it for you?
So yeah, I watched my Houston Rockets during the preseason, and defense looked way better. Offense. So for this team, probably everyone was like question marks about their defense, but now the defense with the additions of Dylan Brooks, Jeff Van Fleet, Amen Thompson looks pretty. I'm pretty sure they will be like above average defense in the NBA, which is probably like surprise for everyone. But their offense looks terrible and their shooting is non-existent. So I'm really looking forward how they will resolve that issue and what will Udoka do to make their offense work. So as a fan of Houston Rockets, that's my biggest question coming into this season.
So let's go over to Kirk Evans here. Your thoughts on the Houston Rockets? Pips is a Houston Rockets fan, so he's never been biased, though. He's always been accepting of what the Rockets are. But what are your expectations for the Rockets this season?
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good question. I think the Houston Rockets in general are just a massive question mark this year, what they're going to be. Huge coaching change. I think that'll be a really big addition with Ime from, who was it before? Forgetting his name. He was a terrible coach.
Silas.
Yeah. But yeah, they're a huge question mark for sure. How Brooks fits on a new team. Can he get his shot profile better? How Fred looks. And then Jalen Green is probably their biggest question mark in general. So I think the offense is a question. The defense is a question. I think, yeah, they probably have one of the biggest ranges of win totals in the whole league. I could see them winning 24. I could see them getting up to around 40. So I think they're a huge question mark.
I think it depends on motivation as well, because you get to the trade deadline, if you're in and around the playing position, which I think more than capable of being, is this a team that's going to want to kind of fold, look towards the draft, or are they going to want to continue to excel?
No folding.
You think Ime's full steam ahead with this team?
Yeah.
As many wins as possible?
They also don't have their pick, or it's maybe top 4 protected. I think it's fully unprotected to OKC.
Oh, so full steam ahead for this Houston Rockets team. I think that Jalen Green is a big factor. I'll elaborate a bit more on Dylan Brooks. If you get the FIBA World Cup Canada version of Dylan Brooks that's making the extra pass and is being efficient as well. I mean, the efficiency comes because he's taking better shots, because he's making the extra pass when necessary. And you have the stunning defense that he was putting on display there. That is a massive boost to this Rockets team. And that contract is going to look very, very good. But a little bit of a transition time for Pips, for the Rockets. So we'll go to Pips. The final word on the Rockets. What would be your expectation for the season?
I expect them to win like 35 games range, be close to the play-in and battle to the play-in till the last. So far, what I've seen in the preseason looks very above my expectations. Amen Thompson looks already ready to contribute. His defense is amazing. We have a good size, good defense. We just need to unlock our offense, and we are ready to win. So I trust him, and we'll see.
All right, we'll go over to my question now. This is one I still can't wrap my head around, but the Golden State Warriors, Chris Paul cannot start for this team, but yet they continue to drive in that they want to start Chris Paul, even though when every sense in this whole situation, it should be that Chris Paul comes off the bench and runs the second unit. They've looked bad when Curry has been off the floor for a number of years now. So having Chris Paul to anchor, that's not anchor the second unit, but control the second unit makes a ton of sense. And forcing him into the starting lineup, I think, just takes away a really good piece and a really good fit at a starting lineup. And now they're talking about sliding Klay Thompson to the 4 on defense, defending the bigs in pick and rolls. this doesn't make sense to me. Kirk Evans, we'll go to you first of all. Do you agree with what Golden State are doing here, or how do you think this is going to work?
Yeah, I think Chris Paul will eventually come off the bench. I'm totally with you. They'd be too small defensively. Clay at the 4 doesn't really make sense. Kevon Looney was a really good piece last year as well. And
Amazing
he just makes
playoffs.
Yeah, he was so good. Unbelievable rebounder in the playoffs last year. So I just don't really see why Chris Paul would start other than, ego or the fact that, he's Chris Paul. So I think eventually, cooler heads will prevail and he'll be a sixth man, but we'll see. Draymond's also hurt, so we haven't really been able to see them at full force in the preseason yet.
I think that what the Warriors may want to do here is they want it to be Chris Paul's decision to come off the bench. So they're waiting for him to kind of go, okay, I understand we work better if I'm off the bench. And it's no longer Steve Kerr forcing him to kind of do that. But Pips, your thoughts on this one? Schematically, how do you think this is going to work with Paul starting for the start of the season?
I just think even if he starts, he'll be like starting and going out after 4 or 5 minutes and coming back to lead the second unit. And I don't think that will affect much. He will play with the starters for maybe like total 10 minutes in the game. So if he is coming off the bench, he'll still get like 10 minutes with the starters. So I don't think that changes much. Yeah, it will be tough when you have Chris Paul and Steph Curry playing together to defend. But we'll see. And yeah, I liked the Chris Paul running their second unit, but for my Golden State, I don't know if anyone watched a lot of preseason games, but what they're going to do with Kuminga this season, that's my question. Like, he looked tremendous in the preseason, and I'm like, in some other places he will be like providing so much more than playing for Steve Kerr.
I think an opportunity to move Kuminga at some point this season could be on the horizon, especially with the player being extension eligible in a year's time. But we'll save that talk for another day. Let's go to a bit of futures here before we bring in our final guest. So unknowing to you guys have both picked the same futures bet as one of your futures bets going into the season. So we'll go to Kirk Evans first of all. Both of you are loving the Chet Holmgren play on the over. I think it's 13.3 points per game, which is minus 115 at DraftKings. You guys did not coordinate this. You both like it. So it must be a good play here. Kirk, we'll go to you first of all. Why do you like this one?
For sure. I'm pretty confident in this one. It's already 13.5 minus 180 at Caesars. I would honestly play that as well. He's been really good in the preseason. I didn't look at his stats yesterday, but prior, I think he was taking 14 shots per 30 minutes. He's getting to the line. He's not going to shoot 75% from the field like he has in the preseason, but he just looks like he's really a true player. He looks really ready for the NBA. So I think he's going to blow past this number, honestly.
And Pips, your elaboration, you like this one as well. What do you like about it?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when I saw this. I expected like 15.5, 16 line. And I was still, if it's 15.5, I think I would still consider going over because I expect him to go like 16 to 17. And yeah, this just doesn't make any sense. He'll get so much space playing with Shea as he draws so much attention. And playing with Shea and Gide, they will feeding him a lot. He can score inside. He can attack one-on-one face up. He can shoot. So yeah, I think this will be like one of the easiest futures we ever had. So yeah, only thing that can make problems with this is possible injuries, but he looked great in the preseason, so we'll have to trust that he will be healthy throughout.
So take note, viewers. We have two people both hard on this one. Let's go to another play here from Kirk Evans here. He has 3 in total. The second one, he has the Atlanta Hawks to win the division at plus 220 at FanDuel. This one, a little bit more surprising to me. Pips is a partial Hawks fan. He has a little bit of the side piece with the Atlanta Hawks. So maybe you can talk about that as well. But Kirk Evans, what do you like about the Hawks here to win the division?
For sure. So I don't think this bet is quite as much about the Hawks as it is the rest of the division. The Heat last year, I think, won 42 games and then lost 2 key players. And then the Hawks actually didn't really upgrade talent-wise, but the coaching change should be really good. I think Quinn Snyder really will pick up some low-hanging fruit. They shot a lot of mid-rangers. Their defensive location shot profile was pretty bad. I think that's all things Snyder will really be able to clean up. So I think I would probably make this around a 40% chance the Hawks win it, maybe 35, and you're getting way better odds than that. So I think there's value there. I think I played it down to around plus 205.
Yeah, I'm quite low on the Heat this season, to be honest. I know we had a Heat fan on earlier, but I don't really see much appeal from this team other than the fact that they had a miraculous run in the playoffs last year. But Pips, you want to elaborate here on the Hawks, and what do you think about this play?
Yeah, I mean, I have some question marks, Cox, because as you know, I'm a huge DeJounte Murray fan, and him being second option is very questionable for me. But at 2 plus 220, this is for sure valuable bet. As he said, like coaching can bring you alone like 3 to 4 wins, and the margins are slim. He didn't get any better, so yeah, this is for sure value bet on the Hawks.
And we have one final play from Kirk Evans where we bring in our final guest props from Prime, and this is one that I'll certainly like as well, and one I've actually already played. I played this months ago when me and Pips did a futures preview as well for the NBA 2 months ago. I like this one. It's the Raptors over 36.5 wins, which is minus 108 now at Pinnacle. You can shop around as well if you don't have access to Pinnacle. But what do you love about the Raptors on this one?
For sure. So this is probably my favorite futures bet out there currently. I'm surprised it hasn't taken a lot of steam to the over. They were 44 like Pythagorean wins, expected wins last year. They lost Fred, but they get a full season of Pirtle. And then they get Schroeder, who's a fine, definitely below average starting point guard. But the numbers with Pirtle in the lineup were ridiculous. And I definitely thought there was a lot of signal in there. I just think playing without a center for the whole year is too tough on their defense. And I think that now they have a legitimate path to a top 5, top 10 defense. And then if you have a top 10 defense, even if you're 23rd in offense, you're covering 36.5 pretty easily. So I think they'll cover this and be around 500 this season.
I agree. I don't want to be biased here, but like this is a team as well that doesn't have a first-round pick to fall back on. There's no reason to stop winning games at any point. That's not a threat to this. And if anything, what I've seen is that money has come in on the under a little bit for the Raptors. There's a bit less juice now on the over 36.5 than there was a couple of months ago. But regardless, I'm a fan of this play as well. I think the defense is going to look fine. It's not a team that I think is going to make waves deep playoff run, but certainly a team that can get to 40 wins. So I love that one. But we'll wrap up here with Kirk Evans. Thank you so much for joining us here. But we have some big news coming. Kirk Evans, you see a lot more of him on the Board YouTube channel later on this season. We'll reveal that at the end of the stream. But for now, Kirk Evans, thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you soon.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem. And we bring in now our final guest of the stream. We're going to go through some more futures bets here. He's been patient in the background, but we'll bring on at Props from Prime from Twitter. Thank you so much for stopping by on the Board YouTube channel today. How are you feeling ahead of the new NBA season?
Oh, man. I've been waiting for this moment for a while. NBA, nothing beats it every day. Just grinding props. I'm super excited.
And we are as well. So let's get into some of the bets that you wanted to go through today. You have 2 futures bets you wanted to discuss. First of all, we'll go to LeBron entering the season as the oldest player in the NBA. And maybe some tired legs could come into play a little bit. You're going for the under on his points here at under 27.2, if that's correct. And you're going for a unit and a half on this one for minus 130 odds at DraftKings here. What are your feelings about LeBron James going into the season, and why are you going to go for the under here?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not fading him based off of his talent. I think that he's still a really, really good player. I mean, if you have eyes, if you watch him play, maybe he's lost a little bit of a step, but still obviously really good. I'm mostly fading this because of who he has around him. I mean, you got Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves, who I think showed a lot in FIBA as a scorer, really came along in the playoffs. I think he's ready to take a leap. D'Lo, he's going to give you 15 to 18 a night. Even Rui Hachimura, I think he flashed as well. He showed that he can put up solid games, drop 20 every once in a while. Then you also have solid players around him too, like Gabe Vincent, Taurean Prince, Christian Wood. If he can get consistent minutes, we know that he takes a lot of shots, scores a lot of points. All guys who can have good nights. And this Lakers team, they project to be really good. it's damn near the same roster that they just went to the Western Conference Finals with. LeBron, he really won't have to carry this team. And if you look at what he did 2 years ago, bad Lakers team with the Russ experiment, 30.3 points per game, and pre-trade deadline, he averaged 30.2. Let's look at his numbers post-trade deadline. Those numbers dropped to 23.9 points per game. It was only on 31.9 minutes per game, was battling injury a bit. But then also in the playoffs where he only averaged 24.5 points per game. And, like, I know that playoffs, like, slower pace, better defense, but it's also the playoffs. You know, it's like when the stars really tend to elevate their game. He was fine kind of just sitting back and letting his teammates do stuff too because he has good teammates. Also, looking back at 1920, 2021, when the Lakers obviously won a championship, had a good roster, made the playoffs, we only saw LeBron average 25.3 points per game in those, and then 25 on the dot points per game in those 2 seasons. So that's kind of just to touch on the fact that when LeBron has a good team around him, he's kind of willing to sacrifice his scoring, doesn't have to be the guy carrying them. And all in all, I think this Lakers team is going to be pretty good. Ton of scoring options. I think he's around 24, 25.
Yeah, I think the Lakers will be extremely good this season. Contrary to Miami, who I said, I think that the playoff run kind of distorts the vision of them. The Lakers were a completely different team beyond the trade deadline, and they got stronger this offseason. So LeBron doesn't need to be full throttle on the scoring, like you said. Age 38 season, as much as he's like a superhuman, right, at his age, still playing like this, he's not going to go full out. He wants to be healthy for the whole season. He wants to be healthy for the playoffs as well. And 27 is still just high in general. He's been like a religious 27 point per game scorer throughout his career. Obviously, when he was first with the Lakers, he was putting up like heavy numbers of scoring wise in the last couple of seasons, but 27 is just high in general. So I like this one as well. We'll go over to Pips. Your thoughts on this LeBron play?
Yeah, by 27, that's just a bit too high. I'm expecting him like standard range, 25 points a game. And yeah, as he said, like he doesn't need to carry such a huge load. And I expect AD to have a tremendous season. He was very aggressive in the preseason, started shooting threes, mid ranges, even more attacking face up. So yeah, so there are guys that can score a lot of points on their team. Like Christian Wood is a selfish player, so he had that in mind. Taurean Prince on his nights, he can score 20. You have like some D'Angelo Russell version. I don't know what version we get this season, but still like 16, 17 a night. AD will be like 27 to even 30 points maybe a night. So yeah, he just doesn't need to score as much. They are great. They'll probably limit his minutes even be a bit more this season because they are really comfortably make the playoffs. Last season they needed him to push and to play like big minutes for even them to be in the playoffs. So yeah, everything makes sense, and I like this bet.
Myself as well. And there's another play that you were interested in and talk about today on the show, and we'll go to this one. I'm a fan of this one as well. Back to DraftKings, and we're going with Jamal Murray after an astonishing playoff run with the Nuggets. We're going to go to his over. It's a high number, 20.9, but we're going to go to his over on the points. And why do you think Jamal Murray is ready to take the big step up from regular season play as well?
Yeah, I mean, like, just to be honest, we all know that Jamal Murray is like better than a 20.9 points per game guy. I mean, we saw it in the playoffs. I thought he looked like a top 3 point guard in the league. I mean, he just looked amazing. He averaged 26.1 points per game. If you can do that in the postseason, you can do it in the regular season, obviously. And then also there's like the motivation aspect for Jamal Murray. I get that he's coming off a championship, but he kind of has a lot to prove. His name never really comes up when you're talking about the top guards in the leagues. He literally has no accolades. Like, the only accolade he has outside of a championship is an all-rookie team. He's yet to make an all-star, yet to make an all-NBA team. Yeah, man, and like to get those accolades, you got to increase that regular season scoring. Murray, he averaged 21.2 points a game in his last healthy season, 20 points on the dot last year. But if you remember, he was coming off the knee injury. He started off on a pretty heavy minutes restriction. Also, just the knocking off the rust aspect of that. And if you look at the Denver roster last year, didn't really add any scores. They did draft Julian Strather, who looks like a stud in the preseason.
Yep.
But we don't know how much he's going to contribute. They lost Bruce Brown, and besides that, team's pretty similar. So yeah, man, I think that like we all know that Jamal Murray is capable of probably averaging like 25 a night. It just Is he going to be motivated to? And I think he is, just given that I think he feels disrespected. And like I said, just has like zero accolades. I think he's going to be gunning for an All-NBA team, gunning for All-Star. And yeah.
Pips, your thoughts on Jamal Murray's potential to rise up to that All-Star status, but most importantly, get to the 21 points per game?
Yeah, I think makes sense. I like the angle of making the All-Star. Yeah, he'll probably try hard to do it because, as he said, when you look at his awards throughout the career, there is empty space, and he is one of the best playoffs performers in the last, like, these 2 runs in the playoffs were crazy. So yeah, I think he can score like 22, 23 a night. They lost Boone Highland during the season, who was chucking shots off the bench. Jamal Murray usually leads the second unit, so there will be a much more scoring onto him. But my biggest thing about this is last season, during the regular season, they were just like first season after a huge injury. He wasn't trying to do too much at most times. He wasn't that aggressive. Later on, when it was important, he was hella aggressive. So I think we'll get more aggressive version of, and it's easy to play off Nikola Jokic. So I think he'll have a great season. So yeah, I think like 22 and a half is what we'll get from Jamal Murray.
The Nuggets are in a bit of a weird spot going into the season where they're coming off a championship, but they did lose some players and they didn't really do much adding into the team. So Jamal Murray, I mean, for them to compete at the highest level, had to really take on a lot of the scoring load. And like you guys have been saying, I think he is prepared to do that this season, throughout the regular season, finally healthy. So maybe getting a personal accolade is what he's going to be seeking. Motivation should be there. But the final futures play that we will have today on the show comes from Pips, and this is going to be an Anthony Davis play. He's looked really good in the preseason, but Pips wants to take him for the Defensive Player of the Year award, plus 1,000 at DraftKings. Talk to us about Anthony Davis.
Healthy Anthony Davis, aggressive Anthony Davis, and good Lakers are like, I think he's the best defensive player in the league. Like, last night, if you anyone watched like first 6 minutes, he had 5 blocks. He completely locked down the entire paint. Like, it was, Nurkic will probably have nightmares. So even if it was a preseason game, like, I honestly believe healthy, ready Anthony Davis is the best defensive player in the league. And on this Lakers team, that they will be great. They will get a ton of attention. Even if you are close to winning, if you are a Laker, you'll probably get some more media attention and more votes.
True.
So yeah, at this price, I just love it. I think this price is only because there are question marks about him getting enough games. But I watched every minute of his preseason game and he looked ready. Like, that wasn't the case the last season. That wasn't the case the season before. But now I think he'll be one of the top 5 players in the NBA.
So we'll flip to at Props from Prime again. Your thoughts on this play from Pips?
Yeah, no, I love it. 10 to 1 is like a ridiculous price. Like you said, when healthy, I do think you can argue that he is the best defender in the league too. I mean, the reason why we don't think about that is because we all make fun of like, oh, Anthony day-to-day Davis. Like, and also he's like a really good offensive player. You know, we think about like Jaren Jackson and Evan Mobley as these like top defenders, but I think we kind of forget about AD because he is really good on offense. You mentioned like the Laker aspect. Like, we both think that they're going to be a really good team. To win an award like this, you do have to be on like a top team. I think the Lakers are definitely capable of that. And like you said, it's kind of like a bet on does he stay healthy? And if he stays healthy, I think this should be like 2 to 1 or something. So getting it at 10 to 1, I think it's a really good price.
I'll also just add, like, his like competitors, Jaren Jackson after this FIBA run is like low in people's eyes. So I think he will lose some votes on that part. And Brook Lopez and Giannis' defense will drop with losing Drew Holiday. So I don't think their defense will be like top 5. So it's difficult to win a Defensive Player of the Year with being out of top 5 defense. Probably they could be even like 8th, 9th, maybe even 10th best defense. So I don't think they will come into the discussion. So yeah, I think it's a good spot to bet on AD 10 to 1.
I think what's going to be important as well is positioning. So he's played as a center, started as a center, and started as a forward in different games in preseason. But even when he is playing as a forward, they have Christian Wood listed as the center, and Christian Wood is obviously a very bad defender. So it kind of even makes him look a little bit better, the fact that he has to anchor so much of the defensive load for the Lakers. So and that mixed with the media attention, I think that this is a strong position as well. But we'll thank at Props from Prime from joining us on the preview here on the Board HQ. You can follow him on Twitter at Props from Prime to get some picks throughout the season. But any final words from yourself before we see you out and ahead of the NBA season?
Thank you guys for having me. First of all, respect what you guys do, respect your work. You guys are great at what you do. And I want to quick plug my podcast, actually. So I do have a podcast. It's called In My Prime on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Getting into NBA, I'll definitely be having some player prop episodes. And if anyone here likes NFL, we'll be dropping an NFL episode in about an hour. So thank you guys for having me again.
No problem. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Thank you for the picks. Let's hope these cash throughout the season,
Yes,
but we'll hopefully see you soon. Okay, me and Pips are here to finish ourselves off, get ready for the season, and what we need to discuss is the plan for the season. What is the content going to look like on the Board YouTube channel? Last season, I don't even think we started quite on time at the start of the NBA season, so I think this will be the first time we have the entire NBA season. We'll be going live here every day at the same time this show went live, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, right here on the Board YouTube channel for those daily NBA player prop analysis, free picks, all of the things of that nature. But we've added in bonus content along with those 5 shows a week with myself and Pips. Myself and our second guest, Kirk Evans, are going to be going live at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time every Thursday to just go through some NBA discussion topics, just go through just the biggest stories around the league. And of course, along the way, we'll be attempting to find some bets, some futures bets, and some other bets to put in place. So it's going to be a very exciting season here at the Board. And we hope to have you along for the ride by subscribing to the channel at the Board HQ, following us on your favorite podcast platform, and as well as smashing that like button. But some final words from us as we go into the season. We're going to be starting on Monday, even though there are going to be no games on Monday. The NBA season starts on Tuesday, but we're going to have some lines up, Pips, in particular at the start of the season. I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts. What are you looking forward to hit? Because last season we were very over heavy to start the season, and that never really settled down as something you kind of thought we'd settle down as the season went on. But what are you looking for as far as props are concerned? And is there any specific players or teams you're going to be targeting to start the season?
So I'll first address Doors part. We were doing great till like last 2 weeks of the season when
playoffs
players a bit dropped down. So yeah, we'll probably need to learn from experience. And next season, this season already started. I'm just saying next season.
This season, yeah.
Picks are actually out for the first 2 games on FanDuel already. They are out for like 10 hours. I expect DraftKings to follow up tomorrow. On Monday, probably in BetMGM, Bet365. So we'll have picks on Monday ready to go. Yeah, I'll probably do try to do more straight betting this season. Like the last season, we were like 80% probably on the same game parlay. This season, we probably do like 50-50, like spread with straight plays and same game parlays. Probably adding a bit more, trying to add a bit more underplays, but that will probably come later into the season. So yeah, I mean, we'll see some players. So the coaching changes, the minute changes will affect so many players. Schemes changes will also definitely. So this last season and to this season, so many changes in the league. So we'll have to attack some guys that will have smaller roles, and bookies will probably like set the lines like they did for the last season. So yeah, that's the thing, and nothing else. Like we'll see as it comes. I mean, when we see the lines, how prepared books are. I don't think they will be prepared for the week 1. They will just throw in the numbers and then adjusting out of our betting. So there will be lines to grab, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This will probably be a great season, and I expect us to have success on this show. So subscribe for our channel to not miss any show. We'll have plenty of props, and yeah, I'm hoping we'll get a great season.
Yeah, I'm thinking we'll have that as well. Let's go to the comments here before we go. Any final questions you have from the chat? We were a bit busy today. We were rammed with stuff that we wanted to cover, so we didn't get to the chat as we normally would in a typical morning stream. But people asking for some more Evan Kirk. Yeah, we'll have plenty. Or Kirk Evans. I think his real name is the opposite. Regardless, we'll have more of him every Thursday throughout the season. Question from Badger Boy on the Raptors. Over 37.5. Instead, if you get it boosted to plus 140 at Barstool. I would probably feel more comfortable on the 36, but I do like this one as well, depending on your outs, depending on your options. This is a number that I would also play. I would just feel a bit more comfortable going with the 36.5. What do you think about that one, Pips?
Plus 140 is great. So I mean, that's the probably, but it's probably equal to like 36.5 minus 110 minus 115. So because that's a range, like everyone expects records between like 30 to 40, 35 to 42. So every win in that like window matters way more than the outside. So yeah, I think it's close. It's probably similar to the 36 minus 110.
Yeah, just devigging the DraftKings line, the alternate line. DraftKings obviously not the sharpest sports book, but even still, it's superior to the devig line. So 140 is a good price to look for as well. But thank you guys everybody for joining in today. Okay, here we have a question here from Fries. It's a good one to end on. Biggest question: will the Board YouTube channel keep absolutely crushing it with the awesome content? Well, yes, we will. I mean, we said the playoffs weren't good, but plus 8 units, plus 7.9 units, and a 2.7% ROI on the show last year is nothing to sneeze at. And the regular season, unfortunately, we were at plus 16 units, I think, at the time in the regular season. Playoffs did not go as we wanted to, of course, but we're hoping to put together another great regular season here and hoping to continue that to the playoffs when we get there eventually. So the support that you guys bring to the channel allows us to continue making content this often, this much. So please continue to support. Like we said, subscribe, follow on your favorite podcast platform, and let a friend know about the channel as well. This has been the season preview on the Board YouTube channel. We're very excited to get started on Monday morning and get content going 5 times a week with Pips and an extra piece of content with Evan Kirk as well. Thank you so much, everybody. We will see you again very, very soon.